This machine sure makes a lot of meatballs. Welcome to I Hope You Suffer.
Alright, hear me out. Ball meat machine.
Oh.
Spaghetti.
Yeah.
Sounds like it would be a Cannibal Corpse song title.
It's a, it's a very different film. Well, maybe not very different.
Yeah, I'll say this one seemed, I guess there wasn't really too much ball damage in it.
It could have used more ball meat.
Surprising lack of balls in this, actually.
This is episode 139, I think, of I Hope You Suffer. My name is Nathan.
I'm ball meat.
I'm Beyond Meat.
This week we watched 2005's Meatball Machine, a name I still do not understand. This was what the fuck was this?
Wow, I don't know.
I made the mistake of watching this, started watching this while I was eating lunch at work. Not great.
Everything's so chunky.
Yes.
Like I don't have much of a reaction to anything, but everything in this was just that right kind of liquidy and chunky, where I was like, I don't like that.
Well, this is we talked about that Clowntergeist movie, not Clowntergeist, Clown Tornado or fucking whatever that movie was.
Clownado.
Yeah.
And like, the problem with that movie was that like it was supposed to be like a goofy killer clown movie, but all of the gore was kind of like this, and I was like, this is just kind of like unsettling and not fun to watch. This though was like at least goofy enough of a premise that I was just like, and it wasn't necessarily like gore, it was like you're seeing like the inside of a body for the most of it, but it's just
yeah,
weird.
That was my favorite bit, was like, here's a weird little alien parasite bro, like controlling stuff. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
everything outside of that, I was like, whatever.
Well, I the first half or so, I was kind of like, I don't know what's happening. This is weird. Once it just became the two of them fighting, I was like, okay, I'm on board with this. This movie should have just been like just monsters fighting and fucked up weird mechanical
little penis-looking ants, like inside of people.
Wow.
Kit and I have had like a day to process. Katie probably just finished.
Yeah. It's also, I don't know why I make this decision, but if I can, I always watch the movies the day of, but in order to make sure I have enough time, I do it pretty early, so I don't know what my thought process is for like waking up and watching movies like this at like 9 a.m, but it is too early. Yeah, especially because this movie is, it's called Meatball Machine, so like you knew it was gonna be some kind of way, right? And
honestly, I thought it was gonna be about Italian food.
I thought it was a chef who just got his meatball machine and he was very excited about it, and someone stole it from him and he was upset and he had to track them down.
I thought this was just gonna be like the whatever the Disney movie is with the mouse that makes food.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was expecting it to essentially just be like Ratatouille, but Japanese. I
Close.
I mean, it's pretty close. You can tell by the cover. It's pretty much
the
same.
Yeah, I guess there is just like a weird creature
controlling somebody else. Yeah.
Just instead of making tasty food, they're obliterating human bodies.
Yeah, so I
which they use as tasty food.
Yeah.
In fairness.
Technically, I didn't know what this movie was about at all. I did my best to just like not look up anything of it. I hadn't seen any screenshots except for like the cover and then like one of the very first kills that happens with like that little kid. So I didn't know what to
expect. That now.
I am just I was taken aback by it, to say the least. Like, this movie is from 2005, so I wasn't really sure what to expect as far as like the gore or like what was going to be going on with the graphics. And I think like the person who did the special effects and makeup and stuff is also a director, and his name is Yoshihiro Nishimura, and he's done some other movies that like people, even if they're not super into Japanese horror, have like heard of. Like this one obviously I feel like is a pretty common one because it's like streaming free all the time, and also Tokyo Gore Police is another one of them. But I saw that he is known as the Tom Savini of Japan, and I was like, oh, okay. This is probably the goriest Japanese movie I've seen.
I think Ichi the Killer is.
I was gonna say
more.
Except for that, but that's a little different.
Well, I guess it's like this one, like it's not even necessarily like gory until like the end. It's just you see a lot of like the inside of a body. Because, like, I feel like a lot of the beginning is mostly, like, weird mechanical shit. Like, there's just, like, tubes coming out of these things and flailing everywhere and, like, some blood spurting. But, like, the end is when the two are, like, fighting, is when, like, you know, people get, like, arms ripped off and, like, they're just, like, doused in blood like a fucking, like, they're part of Gwar. Like,
literally, yeah. And I will say, like, I did really like So yeah, this movie is essentially, I mean, we've kind of said a lot about it at this point, but I feel like maybe if you want a shock value, go and watch it, because I was not expecting anything that happened. And you can tell just by the cover that the suits and stuff of like the creatures that are connected to them do look really rubbery, you know, like a Power Rangers kind of situation. And honestly, like, but I kind of liked it. Like, It I don't know. It had like a weird, I don't want to say charm to me, but like I did like the aesthetic of it. But what I was trying to say is that I feel like the creature people in this, I expected there to be more of this kind of thing in Zebraman, instead of it just being like
like a weird superhero
a person
thing. Yeah.
So I kind of got. This has like a very strong like Akira vibe to me, as far as like people getting mutated into things. One of the things I saw, I was like looking into the like how this movie was received, and it seems like it was kind of split in Japan, because a lot of people were trying to say that it was like a ripoff of Tetsuo, and so I was wondering like. And then so there's like a divide between people being like, no, Meatball Machine is obviously better, and then people being like, no, Tetsuo is better. So I was kind of wondering, like, what you guys thought.
I guess Tetsuo is better.
Yeah, Tetsuo is easily better.
This was not bad. I didn't find it great either. Like,
yeah, it's fine.
There's not really a plot per se. For the most part, it's just like there's not a lot of dialogue. There's not a whole lot going on. It's just these parasites take over people, and you just kind of discover why they're doing it, and then it's just these two fight. And like, I feel like without the effects, this movie has nothing else to it.
Mm-hmm. I think the other issue for me is like, I spent a lot of this movie cringing, and like not for the reasons that are obvious by the way that it looks. I think the issue is that, like, you do spend a lot of time not knowing what's going on, which, as I've said before, I don't mind that. But when you have something that's, like, really visually, like, the story is confusing until the very end, sort of, and then, like, visually, there's a lot of times...
I don't really know what the fuck was going on. Like, that's Like, I don't know how this movie goes into a sequel.
Well, so I assume it picks up where the movie ends off. The thing that I did not appreciate about it is like, so you watch this entire movie, most of the time you don't know what's going on. It's also one of those movies where like people don't really say the other characters' names a lot, and so it's like hard to follow because you're like, I don't even know who this what's going on, which is whatever. But then it's like at the end, which we'll get to, they pretty much explain the entire movie, like, oh, in case you didn't understand, this is what happened, but it's kind of like the big reveal of the plot is kind of like at this point something that is not surprising to me at all. So I feel like maybe if I had seen this earlier, I would have been like, whoa.
But they also explain it halfway through the movie with that one guy that has his daughter that's like half Technoborg or whatever. So like even like by the end, it's like not. It's not like a reveal really, because it's like you find out, he tells you they're parasites. They take over for this game to where they fight to eat the other one, and I don't know.
I wish they were Technoborgs.
They're actually called Necroborgs.
Yeah, which you don't even know until literally the very end of the movie.
This director wrote a movie called Snot Rocket and Super Detective.
That sounds way better. I should have chosen that.
All of the reviews are like, why did I do this to myself?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was fine. I don't think I would watch it again, but I'm not mad that we watched it.
Might watch the sequel just because I'm curious now, but like...
I think there might be like an animated movie or something else that's like a prequel.
Weird. I want a whole movie that's just the little like parasite things talking to each other.
like a comedy, like Perfect Strangers.
Yeah, except there's just no actual like dialogue.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what
this never would have happened if RoboGeisha had been streaming.
Or Dead Sushi. Or Toilet of the Dead.
Or I don't know. I think I don't know. This I don't know, man. I just don't know. It's
I mean,
it's fine. I'm just sour about RoboGeisha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we can go into like the minimal plot, Katie.
I know that we essentially told you the entire movie in one sentence, but I also feel like I want to just start with like a trigger warning about this movie because like, which we don't ever normally do because like I feel like if you are actively listening to anything that's like true crime or like horror related, you know, there's going to be like death and all that stuff, but this one sort of deals with some other things like assault and like some stuff like that. So if you are feeling any kind of way, maybe don't listen to this right away. Because a lot of this, at least for me personally, was like sort of hard to get through the first half of it.
Oh yeah, when it like happens to
that scene. Yeah, that one scene in particular was rough.
It's very like Evil Dead tree thing, but like to a 10.
Yeah, I feel like it's not like nothing I haven't seen before because like they have stuff like that in Silent Hill and whatnot, but this was a little different. I felt. So anyways, yeah, we're going to be talking about assault. We're going to be talking about I don't know, child abuse and whatnot. So anyways, here we go. Because the first half of this movie is pretty gross. It essentially also starts with and I don't know what significance this has at all. But it starts with a man who is very obviously going to hang himself. But he doesn't get to because something we don't know what it is yet, but we get the vision of it. It kind of looks like heat vision. Goes up and eats the guy. And there's like tentacles flopping around. They're not really like tentacles though. They kind of look more like cords, but they're like really fast, which is really unsettling because it happens a lot in the movie. Although there was one point when I paused it to write something down, and you could like really clearly see those strings that they had them on, that they were just going like really fast.
I kind of assumed they were just like hoses they were shooting like air through or whatever, so they were just like flying everywhere.
Yeah, that's an accurate description of what it looks like, though. It's very chaotic. Really hard cut to just like some monster people fighting in the street. Like, this is sort of weird because the people, and we know because at the end of the movie they describe them as necroborgs, so that's what they are. And they're basically like people who have been merged with this creature that like kind of looks like a goopy alien, but also looks like a machine, but kind of also a bug. So I don't know. If you didn't look up any pictures, just take that as you will.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, like a weird roach guy. A big roach guy.
Yeah. Also, they have these, like... They look just like huge metal, like, buttons over their eyes, and that comes back in the worst way later. So, it's just these two monsters.
I want to know how these people see.
Well, they don't.
With their hearts.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice.
With their balls.
Yeah, with their ball meat.
So
the ball meat machine is a camera, so they can see.
Ball meat machine. The monsters are fighting, and one of them gets their head sliced off, hot dog style, and the one who wins eats a silver body part. And at this point, we have no idea what's going on because this is literally like the very first thing that happens. Then the monster that won gets stabbed by a purple lightning taser apparatus of some sort. And
what a combination of words. Purple lightning taser apparatus.
I mean, I don't know what else to say it is. By this man whose name I don't think we ever hear. I called him Taser Man. And he also has some kind of like, he very clearly made this item himself, and he is wearing like a put together vigilante suit with like a welder's helmet or something like that. And he looks over at this girl who I think he calls Michino. Perhaps. Let me see.
No,
she doesn't.
Wait. Yeah, I don't remember.
I think it's either Michio, it's something like that. It doesn't matter. They're not, it's whatever. Anyways, she's standing there. She's like a younger girl, and she's got like bandages on her, and also her neck bandage is throbbing. So that's probably not good. And then the title card. So now we're introduced to our main character, whose name is Yoji, and he is walking to work, as you know, nonchalant. And we see the river he's walking past. There's just like pieces of like the monster parts in the water, but he doesn't notice them, I guess. So, and I do like these kinds of movies where like this was really similar to Zebra Man, where like, and I feel like a lot of Japanese movies are like this, where like things are going on that are like really scary and bad, but like most of the people don't know what's happening yet, so they're just like, nah, whatever. I mean, I guess that could be any movie, but I feel like it's more prevalent for it to be super bad. Like, I don't know. So he goes to work. He's working on machines or something. He works with a bunch of really gross guys who all are wearing suits, so I'm not really sure what they're supposed to be doing in the same room as him, because he's like,
well, obviously you've
not
never
wearing
had
a suit.
a factory job. You have to wear suits.
I guess
Yeah.
not.
Pretty normal.
When I had worked at the plastic extrusion company I worked at, that it was 115 degrees in there. We had to wear tuxes. It's just a thing.
So yeah, he is now outside eating lunch, and he is in the synopsis for this. It said that this woman that he's in love with, Sachiko, is a coworker of theirs, and I was like, she's like over in a yard doing laundry with some children. So I was like, what? What is this company that he
they
that
construct
I don't know.
laundry.
I guess so. Maybe they do make laundry.
Build it.
He's like looking at her, and he's in love with her, obviously, and I'm just gonna leave it at he fantasizes about her because gross. His friend comes in, or he's like back at his house thinking about her, so to speak. And
He's jerking off.
he is. As soon as he finishes, his friend walks in, and it's just like, "Hey, guy," and she's like, "Hey, can you knock?" Yeah, and then he asks him for $100, I think, and I was like, "Okay, calm down." Then, they just like talk or whatever. I thought that his friend was going to be a bigger part of the movie, but he's only in it for like those 2 scenes, essentially.
Yeah, he just needed that money.
He needed it. Yeah, asks him to borrow money. So we cut to the next morning. There's a trail of like blood and stuff that is leading out of the water, and there's a young kid there that goes to investigate, and he gets tentacled, essentially. And then we see him emerge, and he is... This part was like really strange to me because like I guess the little alien host things cannot take over children because it essentially just like kills the child and doesn't actually like take him over or anything, but it just like uses him to like get up from out from under this overpass because it's obviously hurt in some way. I don't know. Anyways, the kid is like wrapped up in the situation, walks up into the street and gets hit by a truck. Wasn't expecting that. It was a lot of blood. This scene was like, I was like, oh, okay, I wasn't expecting this either, because the guy who like hits him gets out of the truck, and we see basically like the carnage of the wreck, where like the kid's arm is like stuck in the wheel of the truck, and like his feet are still in his shoes, but the rest of his body isn't there, and it's just like...
Yeah, he just like exploded.
Yeah, and the driver throws up, as you do, when you obliterate a child. And he's basically like leaning up against his car, and he's like, oh man, this sucks. And he gets gooed on, and then the creature gets on him. So, meanwhile, Yoji is creeping on Sachiko again, and his gross coworkers come out, and the lead gross coworker's name is Tanaka, and he's essentially like, hey, let's go leer at this girl, and they talk about how they're all going to sleep with her because she is quote unquote the type just waiting to be laid.
Jesus.
Everything involving these men is just the fucking worst. And so essentially they're talking about how they're gonna like all sleep with her. And he's like, haha, me first though. So now we cut to 2 other monsters fighting again. One of them is the truck guy, and he has a fucking like windshield with windshield wipers in front of his face.
Oh yeah, in front of his mouth. That rules.
Yeah. And it's like windshield wiping the blood off.
My favorite like stupid design in this movie.
I kind of wish they would have done more stuff like that. Because I mean, I guess we don't really see any of the other people become like any of the randos become like creatures, but I thought that was so funny.
Meatballed.
Yeah. We don't see him get meatballed. So, he's also got a drill on his arm, and he is fighting Taser Guy. He like kicks the shit out of Taser Guy a little bit, but Taser Guy ends up stabbing him, and so he like walks away because like he's in a bad way essentially. And somehow the taser guy has gotten one of the other like silver body parts and like gives it to his daughter, who is the one that has like the pulsing neck or whatever. Because the truck guy like walks away and we see him like kind of like struggling, and he pulls out the knife that Taser Man like stabbed him with, which was a bad idea because he dies. And his machine basically is like and like leaves, and he looks real fucked up underneath it.
Who doesn't though?
I mean, yeah. So I don't understand this scene at all, but Yoji is at the movie theater. He is falling asleep when somebody comes to sit next to him, and he's like, okay, that's weird, and tries to like move over his seat because it's like essentially an empty movie theater. And then the person moves over and starts like groping his leg, and he's like, okay, no, I'm not cool with this, and he leaves. The person follows him and is like, hey, I'm in love with you, like, let's go do stuff. You're not doing anything anyway. And Yoji is like not about it and hits him with like, I don't know, just like is like, get off me, and calls the person a pervert. And then the person gets mad and beats him up and is like, be nice to people, and then walks away. And I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Oh yeah, I forgot about this scene. It was very strange.
Yeah. But essentially, Yoji is like laying in the trash, and he kind of gets scooped on, and then one of the creatures like falls onto the like the trash bags around him, and he's like, oh. So he like takes it back to his house, and it's gooey. The next day at work, the men are talking about Sachiko again, and just, you know, being gross. They all leave, and Yoji like stays behind, and he's brought the creature with him, and he uses a like drill bit at work to try and like drill into the creature, but it breaks the drill bit, and he's like, oh, weird. So then his like neighbor comes back over and it was like, hey, thanks for like loaning me the money, like let me make it up to you, I'm gonna go take you out, like let's go get something to eat. So they go out and they're walking around. Yoji sees Sachiko with his other co-workers, and he's kind of like, oh man, this really sucks, and he's bummed because, like, you know, he's in love with her. Well, are you trying to get laid? And I don't know, takes him to a love hotel. But he's essentially, and the girl's like, hey, you know, take your clothes off, it's cool, whatever. And he's just like, no, I can't do this, and he leaves. On his way home, he finds Tanaka and Sachiko, and Tanaka is trying to assault her, essentially, and, you know, he intervenes and is like, hey, leave her alone, and they fight. Yoji's not very good at fighting. He gets beat up pretty easy
he
again.
gets knocked over very easy.
Yeah. And he's also, he like literally just tried to get in a fight with someone the night before. So like he is not in a good way. And so of course like he's like beating the crap out of Yoji, and Sachiko's like, hey, leave him alone, like just leave him alone, and Tanaka's like fine, whatever, and just leaves. So Sachiko like helps Yoji back to his house because, you know, he just got beat up for the second time in 2 days, and she's like trying to help him with like his wounds or whatever. His face is pretty beat up. This movie just really goes off the rails starting right now. So she basically like thanks him for saving her, and then they realize they don't even know each other's names, so they're like, you know, exchanging names. And she says that she sees him eating his lunch alone every day, and that he looks lonely, and she's lonely too. And then she's like, you know, the only reason like I went to this get together is because I thought that you were gonna be there. And this is why I'm still confused as to how they work together, but it's fine. So then they kiss. He is being very awkward about it, and she's like, hey, I have to tell you something first. Like, I have a hideous scar on my chest, and it's gonna gross you out. And he's like, girl, I don't care. I love you. And she shows him the scar, and it is actually pretty nasty. It looks like it's
It looks very
fresh.
infected.
Yeah, it's like red and like bumpy. And I don't really know what kind of thing causes that kind of scar, but like, I mean, obviously it was a fake scar. It's not going to look real. But then she
being
goes...
attacked with a sword will do that.
Oh.
Yeah, someone stabs you with the sword. That's it.
It was like in the chest too, so I can't imagine how is she alive. Anyway, then she like tells us really terrifying, like terrible story about how when she was little, up until she was in high school, her dad would essentially just like inflict all of these wounds on her to like give her scars so that she would be undesirable to men. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Terrible. And he, to be fair, Yoji's kind of a dick because he just kind of like isn't reacting to anything that's happening, and she's like pouring her heart and soul out to him, and he's just kind of like awkward. She's like, why are you like acting this way? Like, is everything okay? And he just kind of doesn't say anything. And then the monster creature thing, like during her telling her story, it's kind of like coming back to life because this whole time it's been really motionless or whatever. And oh my gosh, and then she goes on to say that like she finally stood up for herself and like stopped her dad from attacking her by hitting him with like a tire iron or something, and now he's paralyzed and all of this stuff, and Yoji's just like okay.
Yeah, the scene is real awkward because he just kind of like sits there and
like
doesn't
stares
say
at
anything.
her. And she's like crying and like, I don't know. It just was, it was tough. But anyways, like after she finishes telling her story and she's kind of like, why aren't you saying anything? The monster just like busts out through the closet and attacks her. He just sits there and watches this happen. He does not do a thing. And it makes me so mad. So the monster is like fusing with her. We get a lot of shots of it like I don't know, sticking its claws into her, so it's like fusing onto her and stuff. And by the time that he tries to like go over and like help her or whatever, it is way too late because this thing also has these like weird claw things. And just gonna glaze over it. The claw hand tentacle thing assaults her, and it's kind of a long scene. He just watches that happen. But at the same time, we are seeing inside of her body where I did not know what was going on at this point, but we were seeing a creature being born, and I was like, is this like a monster human baby, or what the hell is this thing? It looks like a croissant made out of flesh, and also it has little fangs. So it's like, I don't know.
It's got like 4 prongs on the end of its face that like open up like predator style.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for the rest of the movie, we just get really familiar with this pink squishy croissant guy, because we see there's also this really gross scene of like, basically what you come to find out is that, like we've already said, this parasite alien creature controls them like they are robots, but they're like inside a human body, and also their nervous system is connected, and there's like this really gross scene of this like protrusion going into the back of the alien head, and it looks very disgusting. Everything to do with the inside of this alien thing just really grossed me out. It's like slimy and it's pink and it's just really gross. So she's like what is going on? Because at this point, like, we can still see her face. She's like half robot. She's also like naked though, and like her clothes are like hanging off her gross arms and stuff, and she's like, what happened? And Yoji's just like, oh, I don't know. It wasn't my fault. I didn't do anything. It wasn't my fault. And I was like, bro, it kind of is your fault, because you like, that you're the reason the alien was here? Anyways, his friend comes in and is just like, hey, bro, what's up? But then Sachiko immediately kills him. And then she's kind of like freaking out because she realizes that she just killed him. Like, her body mutated into like a knife arm, and she like stabbed him. And then these little eyeball drills come out and drill into her eyeballs, and we see
eyeball
it.
drills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can get them at Lowe's.
This was easily like the worst part for me.
Yeah. It wasn't great. I didn't know we were gonna see the eyeball drills. I would be really interested to see how they did that, like how they made that graphic, because
I mean, it was probably just, you know, like a dummy head with like a fake eye in it that they just drill into.
What if they got some real eyes down at the eyeball factory?
Yeah, it's probably a real eye, fake drill.
Yeah.
probably.
You know, it's just one of those, you know how those knives that pop into the handle, like the toy knives?
Mm-hmm.
It's just that with the drill. They just pushed it into the person's eye and it just pushed
into
back.
a real eyeball. Yeah.
It's like that, but the eyeball goes back into the head. The eye is the knife scenario.
I don't. What?
You never had a drill in your eye?
Thankfully, no. I have not.
You call that living?
I do. Well, because the drills go into their eyeballs, and then now they can no longer see.
Well, they see with their ball camera.
Yeah.
The ball camera opens. So she is taken over by this parasite. Also, I just want to like reiterate, at this point, we have not gotten this like explanation, so we still do not know what's happening. I had a really hard time figuring out that like the alien creature was like inside her body, like where it was, because it actually is kind of like up in their upper chest area, but like I don't know, it was just all really confusing. And the alien does have like a little command center, like a little gooey person command center, but I still had a hard time figuring out what was going on at this point. So she is completely taken over at this point, and she attacks Yoji. They fall out the window. Luckily, Taser Man and his daughter are there. Sachiko escapes though, and so Yoji wakes up, and he's like at Taser Man's house, and Taser Man essentially, this is like when they tell us what's happening. So Taser Man is like, hey, that's my daughter over there. She's like sort of infested by the aliens, but you know, she's fine. It's like her leg is kind of like bandaged up because something gross is going on under there, and then she just has like random bandages, but she still looks mostly like a person. Then he starts talking about how the parasites, like, people don't really know about them or why they're there, but their purpose is to eat each other. So they use the humans as tools, or machines, if you will. And the little silver pods that we've been seeing is actually where the parasites live inside the people. And it controls the humans like robots to fight against each other. And then whoever loses gets eaten. So it's just like a game to them. And we find out that the reason that he had the alien in his possession and it didn't attack him is because they only feed off of negative energy, and they go for people who are quote unquote psychologically disturbed and traumatized. So I guess they're just saying that Yoji had just like a normal life and nothing bad ever happened to him, so the pod like didn't care about him. But then once Sachiko showed up and told her story, it was like, hell yeah. Also, the human host can feel the parasite's pain, and the parasites can also access the host's memories, and I guess make them relive stuff. So it's like literally really hellish situation to be in. Taser Man also essentially says that there's no way to save Sachiko because she's already been taken over, and if Yoji wants to help her, then he should just kill her as soon as possible. So then basically Yoji just has kind of like a nightmare where he's like reliving what happened in the bedroom scene. This is another part I really hated. But instead of like what actually happened, Sachiko is kind of like mean to him and it's like, what's wrong with you, whatever. And this time when she shows him the scar, there's like little fingers coming out of it.
This is awesome. What are you talking about?
And also there was like the tiny necrobot version of her inside her chest, and it was the image of the fingers coming out of the scar just really grossed me out. At first I thought maybe I wasn't sure. I didn't know that they were fingers, and so I was like, oh, what's happening? So he wakes up. Taser Man isn't there. His daughter is like, hey, well, she doesn't talk. She basically like leads him through the apartment where there's like, I don't know, all kinds of shit going on. There's like tanks, there's dirt on the floor, there's tubes in the floor, there's all kinds of shit. And Taser Man comes in and is like, what's wrong? Like, what's going on? What are you doing in here? And when Yoji's like, okay, what's going on, bro? He's like, oh, by the way, I breed these things because I told you that they need to eat each other to survive, while my daughter also needs to eat them in order to stay alive, and I would do anything for her. Which is so not great, because essentially he's just like breeding them and infecting people on purpose so that they can feed his daughter, who is like not even really a person. She just like stands there. She doesn't talk. She doesn't have emotions. She's just like a robot person. I don't know. Yoji's just like, that's not great. But Taser Man shoots him in the leg, and he falls onto a pile of dirt, and he's like, haha, now I'm going to infect you. There's a monster pod like in the dirt, and Yoji is infested now. We see his little baby being born also, but when the eye drills are coming for Yoji, he manages to basically like destroy one of them, which like explodes one of his alien baby's arms. So he gets one eye drill, but he stops the other one from happening, which essentially means that he can't be completely taken over by the parasite alien. I don't know. He also starts like ripping out chunks of his monster shoulder thing, and Taser Man is like, oh my gosh, are you still conscious? And Yoshi's like, yeah, and drills a hole through his face and runs away.
God, I wish that's how it happened. He's just like, yeah, I just did it.
Oh, this scene's so bad.
Have
too.
some shoulder meat.
Yeah. And when he like squishes it, I'm like pretty sure that was just like jam or jelly, but it looked so gross.
Yeah, you never had shoulder jam?
I haven't had the pleasure, actually.
It's pretty good.
Squeeze out some fresh shoulder jam.
That'd be so convenient. It's just always there.
Just wipe some bread on your shoulder. There it is.
You're just like, I got English
That's
muffin.
the stuff.
That's all you need. If your other shoulder was like butter, then perfect. Okay, this seems bad too. So he basically goes wandering around. He's like covered himself in a tarp, but he looks ridiculous because he's very lumpy and huge. And like at this point, it's like he doesn't seem as like monster chunky as like she does, because the bottom half of him is like completely normal.
Well, he stopped it like halfway through.
Right, because whatever. So he's only got one eye drill. The other eye's fine or whatever. So he is basically just like, messed up because he got shot and then infested by a parasite thing. So he's just like stumbling around. He ends up like resting, I don't know, in the stairwell or something. And this little girl comes up and is like, hey, are you a spaceman? Do you need help? Do you need a doctor? And he feels the urge to, like, drill her, essentially. And so he's trying to scare her off. And so he throws a rock at her, but the rock just, like, goes through her stomach and she dies. What the fuck? So he freaks out. I know. I felt so sad, even though he's dickhead. I felt very sad in this moment because he, like, obviously did not mean to kill a child, but he did anyway. So he freaks out, obviously, and runs away. He comes across Sachiko, who has found Tanaka and is giving him what he deserves because she is... I don't really know where she got the metal from, but she's, like, wrapped him in a bunch of metal and then, like, beat him up, and he's, like, really fucked up. And Yoji, like, tries to talk to her. Basically, he's like, do you remember me? Like, snap out of it, essentially. Then he remembers Taserman saying that, like, the little silver pods are where the parasites is, and he sees hers, which is, like, right on her shoulder, and he, like, goes after it, but she, like, literally uses Tanaka as a human shield, and they fight. At this point, I checked, and there was still half an hour of the movie left, which I was really surprised, because they're already having their, like, monster Borg fight already. And I was like, oh, half an hour of fighting is kind of a lot for most movies. So they basically fight for a while. She ends up throwing him, like, into a fence, and he gets all messed up, and he's, like, struggling. And she goes to leave, but she turns around and launches some kind of projectile out of her arm. I don't know what it was. But she launches it right as Tanaka...
When she's, like, shooting the weird, like, ribs?
Well, they don't actually show what it is at this point, I don't think. It's just, like... I don't know. It's something. But... essentially, like, Tanaka jumps up in front of Yoji to, like, try and get him to help him, but it's, like, right when she shoots whatever it is at him, and it, like, literally blasts him apart. He, like, explodes, and his head flops around on the ground. Good riddance, you piece of shit. Then, this part I thought was kind of funny. Like, she runs over and they're, like, grappling with each other, and Sachiko is, like, shooting acid into his face out of her arm cannon, and her parasite is like, ha 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 ha, like, laughing. Because, like,
having a great time.
Yeah, these little parasites are, like making little squeaking noises the whole time, and they yell a lot. They're like, ah! And
it's the exact noise you'd expect a fleshy croissant to make.
Like, honestly, yeah. And hers is, like, laughing at this point, because, yeah, it's just, like, a fucking game to them. This is fun. So, he eventually gets away, and they're basically, like, playing hide and seek in this, like, freight yard. She's, like, lumbering around, and he's hiding and stuff. Her arm is also some kind of flamethrower or something, and this is the point where we start seeing that, like, whatever she's shooting out is, like, bone fragments, but, like, they squirt blood for some reason. And so then she reloads. She, like, runs out of bone ammo, bammo, and reloads it using a rack of her ribs. So, like, I don't know if they said it yet or if I just, like, skimmed over it. Essentially, the parasites take over and use pieces of their body to make the weapons. So that's why it's, like, I don't know. Which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah, I like that.
So she's, like, shooting pieces of her ribs everywhere. He basically... She, like, reloads, and he basically just, like, appears behind her, but just kind of, like, stares at her for a while. It was kind of a long shot for what was happening. And she, like, turns and tries to hit him, but he, like, knocks her arm aside, and she fires, and there's, like, a bone bullet that, like, launches, kind of, like, lodges into the area where they are and just, like, sprays blood all over them. There is so much blood in this scene. It's just, like, it's, like, raining blood on them. And he's like standing right in front of her, and he's essentially just like, please stop fighting, remember who I am, like, don't you remember all of this, whatever. And I'm like, bro, no, there's nothing really happened between you two, except for her pouring her heart out and you just staring at her like a fish. Now her arm is a saw, bone saw, and she saws at him a bunch, kind of beats him up. Then he's basically just like, human spirit, and he grabs the blade and is like pleading with her to like come around, like, I know you're in there, listen to my voice, don't you remember me? Meanwhile, he's like holding the saw with his hand and his arm is just like gushing blood. And she does come around and she's just like, oh, hey, please kill me. And he's like, no, and like rips her arm off and essentially just like goes ballistic on her, is like punching her a lot. I don't know why he's not going for her little parasite ball for her meatballs. He's like punching her in the like torso and stuff, and I'm like, bro, I don't think that's gonna do anything. So I don't know. They kind of have a standoff where like she suddenly like has control enough to turn the gun on herself. So she's like holding her gun arm to her own head. And then he also like hulks out and is screaming a bunch. And he has his tentacles come out and they're like, and then a huge gun cannon comes out of his stomach, but it has weird gross veins on it. Kind of looks like a penis. And essentially he's like, hyper beam, and like shoots this beam at her, and she explodes like into a pile of body parts.
It's a good way to go.
R.I.P. I guess. He finds her head and he's like caressing her face, and I'm like, bro. He's like looking around in her meat pile and he finds her silver orb, and there's like a moment where you're like, oh my god, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna eat it? But instead he crushes it in his hand and he's sad about it. Then Taserman's daughter shows up and is like, hey, and he's like, oh, you're one of us. Oh, she like takes her neck bandage off, and she's got like the silver orb in her neck, and he's like, oh, you're one of us. And she rips it out, and then she kind of like, I didn't see his silver orb get damaged, but like it is damaged at this point, and she basically takes hers and like shoves it into his shoulder so that it like replaces his previous parasite, I guess.
R.I.P. all that jelly.
Yeah, he just got rid of his jelly receptacle. Wait,
idiot.
That's the opposite. Receptacle is the trash can.
She's dumping her jelly into his shoulder.
Dispenser is the word I meant. He got rid of his jelly dispenser. She dies, because she ripped her pod out. And then Yoji gets his second eye drill. Zip, zip. Then there is a flashback of Taserman saying that the parasites can access people's memories. And for some reason, Yoji just starts reciting his personal info, like his birthday. He starts talking about his family. Then he talks about how he remembers Sachiko, and the only way to keep her memory alive in his consciousness is to detonate the bomb he's made inside of himself so he cannot be taken over.
Yeah, we all got a bomb inside of us.
It's like actually a bomb. There's like circuit boards and shit in there we see. And then he detonates the bomb, the silver pod explodes, and also his head explodes. And it freeze frames. And I thought that was the end, but it's not. So then we just get these two parasites talking to each other, and one of the parasites
the scene goes on for a long time.
I know.
Yes.
It's also like really weird. It's like very conversational, as if these were just like two businessmen having a conversation about something completely mundane.
Like a nice lunch chat.
Yeah, like, what did you do this weekend? I just, hung out, watched the movies. Yeah, me too. So one of the parasites is talking about how the humans have strength that they will never comprehend. So they are going to be using a new kind of host that literally still looks like humans, except for they're quote-unquote beautifully aerodynamic, which means they just don't have any hair. And I guess they have somehow manufactured these vessels themselves, because the flaw with the humans is that they still have consciousness, and they needed the consciousness in order to use it to make all of the weapons, but because of that, the downside is that they're human, and obviously it went wrong because Yoji was able to like explode himself. So they basically have made these new weapons that won't have that problem, and the other guy is kind of just like, okay, yeah, what are you talking, like, what do you mean? And so the other guy's like, wow, explaining it to him, and he says, these two vessels that we have developed have a special connection, and when they have a special connection, the battle will be more intense, and so it'll be more fun, and they like literally refer to these as games. And we see the two vessels, and they basically look like Sachiko and Yoji, just, blue skin and no hair. So, and then he says that these vessels are the post-Necroborg vessels. This is the first time we ever hear the term Necroborg. And they are for the new generation of games, and the code name is Meatball Machine. Then Sachiko and Yoji Borgs wake up and scream at each other, and that's the end.
I still don't understand Meatball Machine.
That's how the ball meat crumbles.
I guess it's because, like, whenever you make meatballs, it's kind of like you take different pieces of the animal to grind it down to make it into the meat to make it a meatball, and that's like essentially what they were doing with the human's body parts in order to make the weapons. Is my only connection. So yeah, the twist, the quote-unquote twist, is basically that, like, it's aliens, which, like, I mean, obviously we knew that, but that's why I feel like aliens using people as vessels to play a game together, I feel like is not really that unique of a story, but I don't really know how much content of that was out in 2005. So that's why I was like, I don't know, maybe if I had seen it earlier, the story would have been more unique to me, but...
Yeah, it was fine. I'm not, like, mad I watched it. It was just, it was there. I've liked the last, like, 20 minutes a lot, but kind of everything leading up to it was not the best.
Yeah, yep. It was also, like, I don't know. I didn't necessarily, like, I didn't like the main character because I thought he was stupid, and I don't really feel like their relationship, they like didn't have I don't know, whatever. I don't need to get into it. It was fine. Visually, there was a lot of things in it that I thought were like pretty cool. That's about it.
Yeah, you liked the tubes going.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was pretty unsettling. So, and so that's what I felt like maybe the sequel, Meatball Machine Kodoku, is like. I don't know, just more games. Like, if they were...
I just like that the main character is also named Yoji, but is, like, a different Yoji.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they have different last name.
Huh.
I mean...
And it's a different
When
actor.
you like the name, you like the name, I guess. Yeah, so I felt like, it kind of seems like maybe... I don't know, I read the storyline and it kind of doesn't really seem like it's a direct sequel, as far as, like, I assumed that, like, the sequel was going to be because the alien was like, hey, we have these new vessels, and it would be something to do with that, but it looks like we're dealing with real people again, so I don't know.
It's just a different movie with meatballs.
Yeah, it's a pretty big trend of a lot of movies having meatball machines in them nowadays, so...
Cloudy with a chance of meatball machines.
I do not like a lot of these plot keywords for this movie.
Oh, I didn't even look.
There's bad ones. Lots of bad ones. I don't like it.
Is there one that's just like movies with meatball in the title?
I don't actually see any. Yeah, they're bad. There's a lot of bad ones. I don't see anything to do with meatballs, actually.
Unbelievable. I'm gonna look up on Letterboxd later and see what movies have meatballs in them.
I do want to know what's number one for organ harvesting. Alita Battle Angel. Not what I would have guessed.
You know what? I actually... so Alita is also based off of... Well, Meatball Machine's not based off of a manga, but Alita is. And Chris actually made me watch that movie, like, sort of recently, and it actually wasn't too bad. For, like, an American adaptation of like, a pretty cult following, like, manga OVA type situation.
I wanted to watch it just because it's Robert Rodriguez, and I'll just watch, like, anything he does.
Well, maybe I will too, I don't know.
What do you guys think number one is for windshield wiper?
Unhinged.
Katie?
I can't even.
Judas and the Black Messiah.
Oh.
Followed by Blade Runner 2049.
I haven't watched that yet.
And Baby Driver.
Oh. There's a lot of different ways to say eye gore. It's like eye gouging, eye ripped out, eye drill in the eye.
How was this? How was surprise ending on this? It wasn't like a surprise.
I mean, no.
Oh, I didn't pay attention, and I knew the ending, like what was going to happen.
Absurdism. Oh, interesting. Parks and Rec is the top for absurdism.
Yeah, it checks out.
I thought you were saying Parks and Rec was one of the keywords, and I was like, what did I miss watching this?
Let's see.
I do like titles spoken by character. That's one of my things I love in movies.
I have not seen any of these. Well, number 12 is the first movie in leg in a cast that I've seen.
Leg in a cast.
This is just a bunch of nonsense movies.
Death of Friend. Anyways, most of the other baseball. Is this relevant? Not really. Black comedy. Anyways.
Wait, remake by original director.
Yeah, so this was actually based off of a movie that the same director made in like 1999, but I don't know if you can find it anywhere, because what I also read was when this movie finally came out on DVD, they basically like took the original movie and turned it into a short that they included on the DVD. So I don't know if the original is like actually available.
Why is Heat on the list of this, of remakes by original director? THX?
No idea.
1138? That's not... I'm very confused by this list.
That was actually a remake of Star Wars.
Oh.
George Lucas went back in time to do it.
It's just... that would check out.
It's also under absurdism.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, the Shaft is on here. Alright, any news, Katie?
The only thing that I saw that's like kind of related in a way is that the director of Kong Skull Island is set to direct a live action Gundam movie. And it's going to be for Legendary, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a Netflix original, and so I think it is going to be terrible.
As long as it's after his Metal Gear Solid film. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
You just want to see Snake's
I don't know.
butt.
Yeah. Oscar Isaac getting nude as Solid Snake. I'm in.
And then the only other thing that I wanted to point out is that they just announced that Psycho Goreman will be streaming on Shudder exclusively starting May 20th. And I am excited because as someone who doesn't have money to buy DVDs, I'm excited to get to rewatch it. So yeah.
Yeah, they're also maybe probably before this comes out, I don't remember, but their Raven Banner is doing Manborg on VHS for like the 10th anniversary.
It's already sold out.
Oh, is it? I didn't know it already came out.
Yeah.
Well, I think it went up yesterday.
Never mind.
Yeah. But it looks really cool, so go look at it.
Just go look at it and be like, I can't own this. I can't wait to spend $300 on it used.
I know. Well, and I clicked on it, and I was like, $30 for a VHS. I mean, I get it. And then I was like, it just was sold out. So I was like, dang. But, anyways, pretty cool stuff.
I feel like there was...
Also, if you somehow haven't seen the Cavity Colors, I don't know if any of that stuff is sold out, but the Psycho Goreman Cavity Colors stuff is all super cool. Wait, it's Cavity Colors, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's, who did, like, the clothing line or whatever. I want those sweatpants.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of cool merch. Considering as whoever was putting out all that other cool stuff, like, that was all completely sold out, essentially, by the time I saw any of it, too. Like, the figures and the glasses and all that stuff.
Yeah, I got my glasses and, like, you know, Happy Meal box yesterday. I just haven't put it together yet.
Yeah. One of my other friends, like, showed them. Pretty cool. I wasn't, like, expecting... I mean, I didn't really know what to expect as far as, like, the reception goes, but I didn't expect there to be so much, like, merch, so pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I'm glad that movie did well.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. You guys watch anything good this week?
No, because everything I watched was for podcasts, and all we cover is bad shit. Land of Doom.
Yeah. I'll just say that now, because I think when this comes out, a couple days after this comes out, Kit and I are on Customers Also Watched about a movie called Land of Doom. That was a very terrible Mad Max ripoff. Kit and I are also on Diary of Doom. 2 days after this is recorded, about the Evil Bong franchise and how that's bad.
Man, I'm so sad I had to miss that.
Listen to those.
It's okay, Katie. We'll make you watch
another
Evil Bong.
Yeah, we're going to watch Ginger Weed Man when it comes out.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, can we do King Bong on here?
I will fucking absolutely do that.
I'm sick.
Did you watch WrestleMania?
I did.
How terrible was that?
It was pretty decent. It was night one was good. It was like 3 really good matches. Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks fucking ruled. And then night 2 started with The Fiend versus Randy Orton, which is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen.
That was the only thing I saw stuff on Twitter about, and I could not piece together what actually happened.
Like 9 months ago, they were burying The Fiend and hitting him with giant sledgehammers and blowing him up, and he still wasn't losing. And now Randy Orton just like put him in a chinlock and then hit him with an RKO, and that was it. It's like, what did he bore The Fiend to death because he sucks?
Sounds like it.
That checks out. I think the other thing I saw was that Roman Reigns pinned Edge and Daniel Bryan both.
Yeah, that match was also really good. Highly recommend at least seeking out those 2 matches.
I realized that Dark Side of the Ring was on Discovery Plus, and there were episodes that I couldn't watch, and kind of the YouTube rips weren't great, so I just started rewatching them. And goddamn, that Bruiser Brody episode.
Oh yeah,
That's so good.
It popped up on my Hulu today, and I was like, I should rewatch those. And then I realized I never want to watch the Chris Benoit one ever again.
Yeah,
because it's just crushing.
I got up through, I think, the Von Erichs one, so the first 4 or 5. But I'm gonna because there was a handful that just didn't hit YouTube, so I didn't get to watch. But I'm gonna just rewatch the whole thing, I think. Other than that, the only other thing I watched was Bad Trip, which was very good.
So good.
So stupid.
The Chinese finger trap. Amazing.
I fucking was dying when they run into the Chinese restaurant, and everyone's just like, "What the fuck?" And it's they finally get their dicks loose, and he just starts ask the lady for her ice water.
Hey, shout out to the door guy who, after 5 minutes of saying "I'm not letting you in," was like, oh, "I can't believe I'm gonna do this," and lets Eric Andre in out of the goodness of his heart. High five, guy.
Yeah, the dude's when the sister's holding him over the edge, or the dude at the car accident, and then when they're the people when they're holding him over the edge that are actually good people.
Yes.
Katie, what'd you watch?
Well, I did not watch that. I did watch the preview wherever he's at the car wash, and the guy turns on the vacuum and it sucks all his clothes in, and he's like, "Oh no, I'm gonna get fired again," and the guy's like, "Oh my god."
That's literally the opening scene.
Yeah. I watched. Let's see. There's 5 or 6 episodes of the new season of The Flash, so I caught up on that. That's actually what I watched last time. Remember, I was there was something else that I wanted to say that I watched and I couldn't remember it, but it was that. And I'm mad at them. They suck. No, just kidding. It's fine. I still like it. I watched. We finished Community. We started Schitt's Creek because everyone is obsessed with that.
Caitlin watched that, and I saw a couple episodes, and it did not pique my interest.
We're on season 3 right now, and it's still not I like it enough that we're watching it, and I laugh sometimes, but it's not I was under the impression it was hilarious or something by how much people like it, but I don't know. We'll see. We're checking through there. And I watched The Dead Don't Die.
How'd you like that?
Not for me. There were things about it that I did like. I thought some scenes were kind of funny, but overall not my favorite. I feel I watched some other things that were also we started to rewatch Lord of the Rings, but we got kind of bored. So I've been having a hard TV time, I guess. It's just one of those times where I'm just not really enjoying anything.
Yeah, you should watch Dark Side of the Ring and just be sad.
I don't have that.
Oh yeah, you don't have Hulu either. Never mind.
Nope.
You can watch it on YouTube.
Nope, I don't.
You're stuck with the light side of the ring.
Yeah.
Dang.
Some of the episodes are basically true crime episodes, so.
I know.
Yeah.
I remember you telling me about it before, and that's why I was gonna watch it. But I just
the Bruiser Brody episode is about him being stabbed to death at a wrestling event, and then just essentially just letting the killer go.
They're whatever. Yeah. Yeah, not great.
All right, shout outs, Kit.
Just shoot me. I just discovered it's on Hulu, and it has been my daily watch thing for the past couple weeks, and I'm almost done with it, and it's very sad.
Does it hold up?
It is much less problematic than I was expecting, but still, it gets real dicey some episodes.
All I really remember
Yeah,
is
Outside of that, it's pretty funny.
like David Spade's in it, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
And then like I remember Brian Posehn shows up in it every once in a while. That's like all I really remember
Yeah.
about it.
Starting in like season 4, he just pops up every once in a while, and they act like he's been there the whole time as Kevin the male guy.
Yeah, I tried to rewatch New Adventures of Old Christine and didn't remember it being problematic at all, but it's not great. So I got like through the first season and I was like, this doesn't hold up at all. This is not funny.
I'm gonna give
And
that a rewatch at some point, only because I remember I'd only saw like a couple episodes of that in reruns, and I remember I just like Julia Louis-Dreyfus, so I was like,
Yeah.
I will give this a rewatch, but I assumed it was gonna be problematic.
Yeah, didn't hit me the same on the other side. And I also realized that having lived so long now without laugh tracks, I do not like laugh tracks, and they're
Oh,
very annoying.
It's weird. Like watching Just Shoot Me like season 4, they changed the camera or something, so everything's way smoother and it looks really weird.
Mhm.
And then the laugh tracks, I guess they changed or something, because I really started to notice them, and I was like, have these been here the whole time?
Yeah,
What?
yeah.
I don't like this.
You remember when like
It's-
Scooby-Doo had a laugh track?
Oh god.
Now that you're saying it, I feel like I do, but
Like
why?
some episodes
Why
they
did
just
we-
added laugh tracks. Like they did it to I think like Wacky Races and shit too. It was very weird.
And they're kind of like jarring
No.
ones too, because they're not like, I don't know. Yeah. Oh, boo, boo. If you're listening to this and you don't remember laugh tracks, boo.
Oh, let's add in a laugh track next week.
That's a good idea. I should see if I can figure that out. I'll just do it like this entire shout out section. Katie, where you get shout out?
Mm,
Laugh tracks.
I'm gonna right. I'm gonna shout out this place that I found that I've been ordering my loose tea from, because I am not a super tea drinker, and Chris really is, but I just started getting into tea like 2-ish years ago, and I feel like it's hard to find good tea that's like number one loose leaf, because it and also that is like affordable. And so I found this website. You can go and like read about how they fund it. It's a really good company, and it's called Beantown Tea. So it's beantowntea.com, and they have all kinds of different teas on there that you can get, like any tea you want. But they also have like a really big green tea and like matcha section, which is how I'm tying it into this episode. And they have this like any kind of green tea that you can think of. They've got like mango green tea, all these crazy flavors. But they have right now a cherry blossom green tea. And so if you're someone that really likes floral teas, I highly recommend this. It's so good. It like literally has like dried cherry blossom petals in it. It's really good. But like I said, the site is like, the tea is really affordable, and anytime you order, you can also get like a free sample pack like with your first order, so you can try a bunch of different kinds. But anytime you order anything, they always send you extras, so it's like a really good way to try. Like, not a lot of places have like an option to do that. It's kind of like either you order $15 of tea, or like you like it or you don't, but they just have so many options, and I really highly recommend them for people who like tea. So
Nice. Mine is just in general the band Couch Slut, but they are doing a streaming event from St. Vitus with the band Sunrot on 420.
Hell yeah.
That just never do that. You can buy tickets through dice.fm, or you could just go find like St. Vitus on, Instagram and shit. Just you'd be able to find it, but it'll be on.
Can I buy tickets through Andrew Dice Clay?
Yes, or Andrew WK.
oh,
But they released like a limited shirt, and like I know at least Couch Slut has like a limited edition vinyl that you could buy with a ticket, that for their last album, Take a Chance on Rock and Roll. So go buy that, 'cause it's gonna be cool. What we doing next week? Bloody
bodybuilder,
bodybuilder, something,
Hell.
Muscle Beach.
meatball. Yeah.
Bloody Muscle
Bloody
Body
Muscle
Builder.
Meatball Builder.
Bloody
Machine
muscle
Hell.
meatball sub builder sandwich artist
Oh,
from hell.
that sounds good. Yeah, next week, Bloody Muscle Bodybuilder in Hell.
Oh yeah, I'm so excited.
Hopefully, I never actually put in my DVD to make sure they worked. So,
I haven't opened mine, so
Mine did.
all right.
okay.
I got the same one I did. It should. The
So-
German one.
Oh,
I got it from Terracotta, so I don't know. But it's everything said they should play here, but I just never checked. So if it doesn't, something else is next week. But that's our plan.
yeah.
Next
it'll be a
week,
surprise.
Baby Geniuses.
Ugh,
Finally.
even scarier. Yeah, this doesn't have any info about like a region on it, so this will be interesting.
I looked up and I asked people, and everybody said it plays on US DVD players. So we'll see.
Okay.
If you want to support us, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/IHopeYouSufferPodcast. Our next bonus episode for May is on animation. You can buy shirts and shit at storefrontier.com/IHopeYouSuffer. Leave us reviews and ratings and shit on iTunes. Tell us who makes your favorite meatball sub.
Mm.
And if there's ball meat in it.
Yeah. Tell me where I can get a meatballer.
What kind of ball meat's
A
in
ball
there?
meter.
Yeah. What's your favorite ball meat?
Ball meter.
You can follow us on Instagram at I Hope You Suffer Podcast. Follow Kit at Hidden Kitstery. Follow Katie at Werewolf Face. Listen to my other podcast, Ain't Kate Movie Club, where we just did an episode on The Void. Spoiler: Caitlin's favorite goo monster was the person smashing their face into a pole repeatedly.
He's the best one.
It's pretty gross sound effect.
He seems like a cool guy.
Yeah.
I'd like to hang out with him.
Yeah, I got nothing else. I watched
I hope you meet but ball.
Bloody Meatball Subway Machine, or whatever it was called, for next
fresh.
week if you can. Yeah, I hope you
Mhm.
eat fresh, but why?
Meatballs.
Bloody ball builder muscle machine in hell.
Ball builder. Oh, like a snowman, but they're meatballs.
Yeah, they're just giant
Oh
testicles.
god.
Do you
A
want to
meat
build
man.
a meat man?
So we're just building. It's just like a bunch of like meat wads on top of each other, then, right?
Yeah.
Big meaty men slapping meat.